Hey everybody, this is Perch. Now we talk about groups and cliques and things online, but let's go back a little further. Maybe this isn't such a new thing for us all. It says, "Hey Perch, love comics, love the channel. Thought I'd see what your thoughts are on this question. I've been going to comic shops since the 1990s when I was a kid. One thing that's remained pretty consistent is that they felt very cliquey. I remember as a kid, a little under 10, buying Spider-Man Chapter 1 and getting attitude from the clerk for buying a bad book. Once again, I wasn't even 10. Same thing in high school when I bought old EC reprints instead of Ultimate Spider-Man. The way they pushed the Ultimate line, they really pushed the Ultimate line aggressively. Yes, they did, and there was a reason for that. That's another video, actually. It's not every visit or every store, but it's certainly an experience that I don't have at other kinds of retail. There always seems to be something I should be buying and a certain amount of judgment about what I actually do." So I'll pause here for a second in the question, but this is no lies detected. This is a problem with comic shops, and it's one of the things when I would hire employees that was most critical in my mind, is to make sure I was hiring people who would not do that practice. The mission of a comic shop retailer, from my perspective, different shops, everybody can do their own thing. And I got into an argument with one guy online, a retailer, about this topic. Who I don't know. Anyway, the points of view are mine. Look, you should listen to the person coming into the store. You should remove judgment, and you should figure out what they like. Once you've figured out what they like, recommend things that fit their interests. If somebody is very excited about a book you believe is absolutely terrible, you can try and very carefully warn the person about it, but not to the deterrent of their interest. So if somebody comes in and says, "I'm really excited about Ultimate Spider-Man," and you believe it is just a poorly written garbage book, and or maybe you've read the issue and you know, well, actually, here I'll give you a better example. Somebody comes in, they're very excited about the wedding of Batman and Catwoman, and you've read the comic and you realize the wedding is not going to happen. And so he's like, "Man, I've been waiting forever for them to get married. I can't wait." Then I do think you have kind of an obligation of like, "Say, buddy, would you like to be spoiled on how this book turns out?" If they're like, no, I really want to see this issue, then you shut up and you sell it to them. That is your job. It's a careful balance, but I do think what's being described here, unfortunately, is very, very common. The argument I got on this topic was, no, as a retailer, you have more expertise than the customer, and therefore it's your responsibility to inform and point them the right way. And I think that is crap. I do not. You may be an expert in comics. You may have read lots of comics, but your taste is not their taste. Everybody has their own individual preferences when it comes to books. And no matter what you like or the reasons you like it or any of those things, you can't, people have their own, what they like. And you shouldn't get in the way of that. That's not being a good retailer. That's not running a good shop. Anyway, there's 2 points of view on that. And like I said, very, very aggressive points of view the other direction. But that, for what it's worth, is mine. So anyway, back to this mail. It says, "Most recently, I went into my old childhood shop and got aggressively mocked by the clerk for trying to find Knights of the Dinner Table." Not that you were buying Knights of the Dinner Table. Just anyway, I don't get that behavior. It always shocks me each and every time. Comic shops are not just printing money, and so any idiot that's going to get in the way of that, it just very bizarre. "It was," he informed me, "the nerdiest shit ever and lame." And maybe he's right, but it's a book I wanted. I haven't been back since. At first I thought this was a modern comics problem, but as I thought about it, I can remember instances of basically being bullied by employees and clerks going all the way back to my childhood. I love comics and have a lot of fond memories of my favorite stores, but it seems a little ridiculous to me that somehow the comic shop is an environment where this kind of schoolyard mentality is allowed to persist. How did it get this way, and how do we change it? And it says, here's a request to interview Bob Burton. Yeah, I'd love to. That'd be great. I don't know. I can only speculate. So probably the reason it got this way is because a lot of people who are retailers who are running these shops are just not professional people. They are people who they're super into their hobby, and so therefore some people feel it's a mandate or a responsibility or a right to inflict their view of the hobby onto others. It's bad. It gives comic shops a bad name. It hurts everyone. I mean, quite bluntly, it makes all the other shops cringe when this kind of stuff goes on because the reputation is like the fat comic book guy on The Simpsons who's going to try and micromanage your purchase. That does drive people out. What's funny, and maybe it's a nuanced point, but when people would do these cartoons about the comic shop being a racist, evil, anti-woman pit, it to me that was I'm not saying never, but extremely rare. There wasn't that. What was true was the kind of people you're talking about, the know-it-all dick who sits on the chair and just wants to kind of get involved in your purchase. That is definitely a stereotype that unfortunately fits. It's quite a few people. You mentioned finding shops you like that didn't have this going on, and that's good. I'm glad for that. I'm glad you're able to get a shop that you enjoyed. But I think the root of this is people who are just not very professional, not good at their job, and enjoy the being able to gatekeep something. Gatekeep is the wrong word. It's actually not gatekeeping at all. It's somebody who is just they are a minor expert in some topic, in this case comics, and they feel the need to supplant whatever miserable thing is going on in their life with the feeling like they're an authority on something, in this case comics. uh, but you're true. I mean, it's very rare. You don't see this in clothing stores. You don't see this in like the grocery store. I think it'd be pretty hilarious if it was a grocery store. I mean, imagine you're in there shopping and like a store clerk comes over. It's like, you're buying that avocado? Good Lord, idiot. That's a California avocado. You should get the ones from Mexico. They're way more flavorful, you stupid moron. Um, in fairness, I'd probably go to I'd probably go to that grocery store just for the entertainment of it. I think that could be pretty hilarious. But comic shops can get away with it. And I would suspect almost every single person listening to this right now has had that experience, has basically gone to a comic shop and encountered that at least once. I mean, it's I wouldn't say it's a rite of passage, but and it always, in many cases, it fits the, oh, you're buying something from Marvel. Well, those are the kitty comics. That's the corporate shill comics. That's the comics Perch supports. Corporate chill Perch. No, those are comics without imagination. I've had that. I've had people. I went and bought. What was it? That wasn't Doom Patrol. It was one of the Shade the Changing Man, a book I really really enjoyed, by Vertigo. And I remember the clerk going, "I won't buy the books with gays in it. Won't support it. Won't support the gay. Won't support the gays. You could buy the and anyway. This was the." Was this the 90s or the 80s? I think this would be the 90s. Yeah, of course it was the 90s. What am I thinking? Vertigo. And it was just weird. Unfortunately, that was more common that you'd get that. I've had the experience, certainly, of going in there and, you buy Marvel comics in the store and it's like, oh, you're buying Marvel. Marvel's just, corporate kiddie stuff. And it's not, that there's no good stories that come out of there. Or I remember going to buy Shade, the Changing Man, and getting a lot of heat from a clerk about that. In most cases, those people don't last very long. Or they get a reputation. They start to cultivate a very specific audience that comes in and maybe enjoy the weird hostile ranting. I mean, there is a personality type out there that likes to be kind of, it's not likes to be dominated exactly, but enjoys being insulted. I've never understood that. There's some people who just they don't feel like they're doing it right unless somebody is crapping on them, and I don't know. People with very low self worth, I can only assume. But unfortunately, the thing you're describing with comic shops, yeah, it's there. How do we stop it? Go to shops that do not have that attitude. That's the best way. You you stop taking your business there, and eventually it weeds out. If I almost hesitate to give this advice because this could go wrong. I don't respect people who are tattletales or anything else. But if you go to a shop regularly and you've been frequent it for a long time, and you know the owner, you have that kind of relationship, and suddenly there's a new employee that shows up, and the new employee is doing this kind of crap, please do say something to the store owner. Don't be in there kind of whining about how you were treated and everything. But if legitimately you've got somebody who's questioning your purchases, drop just a note to the owner. Again, if you have a long relationship with them, if you've been going to a store for a long time and suddenly this new behavior came out, the biggest reason is it's hard to hire people. And you hire somebody and you don't realize that you didn't want to pick an asshole, but you got one. And so it could be helpful if you have this kind of relationship with the store owner and it's appropriate, drop them a line. They may not know. Most shops aggressively dislike the behavior we're talking about. Most shops find it offensive. They find it detrimental to business because it is. And they do not want that infecting their shop. They don't want the reputation of being one of those shops. So if that's happened to you, say something. But biggest thing you could do, go to shops where they don't do this. Anyway, it's a shame. Nothing can kill the comic experience quite like having to encounter that crap. So, great question. Let me know in the comments below if you've encountered this. What did you do? And thanks for listening.